Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm here this beautiful Monday morning with David.
Hello.
And we are super excited to share with you the wisdom and tools to help you expand your soul's capacity. The Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual energy forecast, spiritual weather forecast, where David and I and sometimes guests will share with our listeners the most powerful and practical tools to navigate the coming week. And inevitably, we end up sharing life lessons and tools and wisdom. We do that by pouring over the wisdom of Kabbalah every week and sharing with you what works for us, as well as what works with all of the people we've worked with over the years. And occasionally you get to hear cute anecdotes and powerful stories about that as well. So this week we are focusing in on the opportunity that we have to strengthen our, what we call our vessel in Kabbalah, which is really our capacity, not only our capacity to receive. I think when we think about, you hear that word, at least for me, that our capacity to receive it, it connotes things, what I can amass, what I can gather and forage. And in Kabbalah, it also refers to, it might refer to that sometimes, but it also refers to our capacity to experience joy and fulfillment, our capacity to influence, to impact, our capacity for creativity and inspiration, and so much more. So it is more than just about how much I can get. It is also about how much I can experience.
This is one of my favorite topics because it pretty much puts to rest the question, why do I not have what I want? And what I just love about the concept that the soul is the vessel for the light, and the light represents all our fulfillment, is if I don't have the vessel for it, there's nothing I can do to force that energy in, right? So if we had to look at it numerically.
Well, first of all, how would you define vessel?
So a vessel is the capacity to receive something. And if you're versed in the study of Kabbalah, especially the foundational principles, we've learned that our soul, which is a vessel for the light of the Creator, and the body is a vessel for the soul. So it's kind of like one vessel holds the other and holds the other, has a contract spiritually with the universe, with the Creator, that it can only receive what it has the capacity to receive. In other words, it can only receive what it has earned spiritually. And that is a much broader topic of what that means to earn spiritually, but essentially it means affinity of form with the Creator. So my vessel receives financial security, certainty, joy, friendship, children, health, wealth, love, based on its affinity of form with the Creator. To the extent that you have more affinity of form with the qualities of the Creator, is to the extent you will not only receive those pleasures, but also keep them. A lot of times people have found out ways to grab at these energies, force them into their lives, but it doesn't stay in their life. So think of something that you've received in your life but then lost and you don't currently have. Why is that? And we can go into, well, it's because of this reason and that reason, and I didn't find the right person, I made a mistake here. It really comes down to one thing. The capacity to receive and hold that blessing wasn't there. My personal capacity. So I have to take 100% full responsibility for it. If you're in a relationship and you're married to somebody and the relationship is not what you want it to be, we have to get away from the fact, the concept that they're doing something to you, or they're wrong, or they are bad. It's that I have to look into myself to see what I can transform about my vessel so that I can receive immediately the relationship, the quality of relationship that I'm looking for.
I want to clarify something David said so that people don't take it to the wrong direction. It's not about being godlier than the other person. It's about your personal trajectory toward that godliness, right?
That's right.
So you can't it's very easy. I was going to say you can't look at other people. It's very easy to look at other people and say they're so spiritual, they have everything, they must be. We can assume lots of things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's really important on this journey to keep the blinders on and to stay focused on your process, because your process, we probably say this every other week, it has nothing to do with anyone else's, right? Your obtaining, receiving, and holding on to the blessings you desire has nothing to do with anyone else's pace in their own race. And, the whole idea of ownership or earnership that David was talking about is fundamental, is, central to what we learn in Kabbalah, because everything else feeds into it. For example, a person goes through a difficult time. Why does a person go through a difficult time? I'm not even saying, you could use physical hardships, right? Goes through financial hardship, goes through a health challenge, goes through a challenge in their relationship. There's a lot of people out there that are just struggling with internal growth, right? Life is demanding that they rise to the occasion, and it's hard for them, or it's requiring skills or abilities they don't feel that they've mastered. Any challenge on the spectrum, according to Kabbalah, is there to help us grow our vessel, is to help us, we say, stretching you. What you're going through now is stretching you. It's taking you out of your comfort zone. To the degree that you get out of your comfort zone and you tolerate that discomfort, that's a big indicator. I think that the greater you grow your vessel, the greater your ability to tolerate discomfort. And I don't mean physical pain, although physical pain is sometimes involved in growth. Sometimes people need to go to the gym, not because they need to lose weight, but because they need to get out of their comfort zone, right? Or they need to get fit. It's simply because allowing themselves that temporary discomfort is actually a way for them to reach the next level of self-mastery. It's not really about, this is not what the show is about. It's not about going to the gym, but it really is about asking myself, to quote the great David Guillaume, what's some of the low-hanging fruit here? What are some of the easy ways I know I can be challenging myself, stretching myself, growing myself, that don't require Herculean efforts? There's probably a lot of things. Maybe that's what everybody should do right now. Pause what you're listening to. Hit the pause button.
Yeah, stop listening to us.
That's not what I mean. And write down for yourself, what are some of the I hesitate to use the word easy, but the within reach ways that you can go against your comfort zone, go against your nature, that are staring you in the face. It may be anything from, I want to get a cup of coffee right now. I know I could ask my coworker or my whole team who wants coffee. I don't really feel like it. There's a perfect example. You don't feel like it. Do it. That, and with the intention, with the consciousness of not, I'm going to be a nice guy and everybody's going to like me. Not, okay, then everybody in the room is going to owe me a cappuccino. But because I don't want to, I know that the more things I bring into my comfort zone, the more of the blessings I can touch, receive, and hold on to in my life.
All right. I love that. I want to answer the question that's probably on everyone's minds, which is, what limits the vessel? What's limiting me, and what can I do about it? So I broke this up into two sections. Number one, negative belief systems about receiving are going to be your number one blockage to receiving. These are negative belief systems that either we brought from a past life or have developed and cultivated in this life. What are some negative belief systems about receiving it, and what should they be transformed into? So here's the positive. Here are the three things we need to do to overcome all of our negative belief systems about receiving. And they all center around certainty. Certainty and belief that the fulfillment exists. that I want? And a lot of people get tripped up with this. Do you have certainty that what you want even exists? Spiritually, we know that it has to, because you would never want something that doesn't exist. Meaning, you would never desire love if a person who was going to love you already exists out there. You just haven't met them. But they exist and they're yours, and no one can take that from you. So do you have certainty that that what you're looking for does exist? It's just a matter of having not connected to it. That is number one. A lot of people do not have certainty that what will give them happiness exists. Number two, certainty that I have the strength to earn that fulfillment. Do you have certainty in yourself? Do you have certainty that you can, with the right support and the right help and the right spiritual actions, get there? You got to have certainty in yourself. And the third one, which probably should have actually came first, certainty that the Creator wants me to receive this fulfillment. And these are the three levels of certainty. So I'll say it again. I'll probably start with the third one first. Certainty that the Creator wants me to receive this fulfillment. Certainty that the fulfillment exists in the first place. And certainty that I have the strength, with the help of the Creator, to access it. These three levels of certainty will overcome lifetimes of negative belief systems, which are the main culprit of a shrunken vessel, a limited vessel. I'm going to stop right there before I go to the second part.
Right when you started talking, the question, you said that if you have the desire for it, you have the capacity for it.
If you have because we know that what came first is the fulfillment, then the desire, right? The Creator came first, and then He created the vessels of humanity. So that means that the fulfillment always comes before the desire. People think the desire comes before the fulfillment. That's not true. It sounds logical that it would be true, but the fulfillment comes before the desire. So if I'm desiring something, it means that the fulfillment of it existed prior, causing me to want it.
Okay. What about people? What do we do if we don't have a desire for a blessing?
Mm-hmm.
And what if we have a little desire? Like,
Okay, that brings me
I'd
to
like to
number
be in
two.
a relationship, but if it doesn't come, I'm okay too.
So you may say, well, if I don't have a desire, we have a problem here. Maybe I'm not meant to have it. So that comes to number two. Number two has more to do with actions that we're doing to limit our vessel. So these are selfish and reactive actions. So every form of instant gratification shrinks your vessel. For example, that the incidence of, by the way, I am not backing this up with any kind of study, but let's just assume, I'm sure if we Googled it, it would validate, but the incidence of, let's say, depression and suicide would be higher or lower amongst children who come from very wealthy families who have everything taken care of for them. This is the question. I don't know the answer to this, but I've seen personally in my life that when people have all sorts of pleasures available to them that they can access at any moment, their desire even to live, let alone work, achieve, excel, shrinks. Their desire to even live shrinks. You would think the opposite. You would think someone who has everything and has no problems with accessing information, education, financial sustenance, food, clothing, housing, like everything's given to this person. Does their desire expand or does it shrink? It actually shrinks. What happens to a person who's addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex? The more they receive of it, what does it mean it destroys their life? Because their desire for greatness shrinks and you're just looking for your next fix. So all forms of instant gratification shrink the vessel and remove your desire to the point where you think, well, you start to become apathetic. You're like, well, who cares? You become numb. So how do you overcome that? Letting go and sharing outside your comfort zone, which Elisheva just talked about, is what opens the vessel up. All problems can be solved by letting go and sharing outside the comfort zone. Sharing inside the comfort zone doesn't do it. It's sharing outside the comfort zone. It's that thing you don't want to do. I always give the example. Actually, I saw one of my friends over the weekend, and his wife's like, honey, can you go actually to your house? Because we had some stuff in your house. It was a very funny moment. So I was like, can you go to Elisheva's house and get that thing that's in the fridge? And I remember he was sitting there, this beautiful meal in front of him. He was enjoying it. And it's going to walk to your place. It's probably like 300-400 feet. I don't know. And you just saw this moment in his mind where he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Have you been married?
Really?
You've been married for, 10 years. And of course, you love your wife. Your wife's like, honey, can you go get that thing from Elisheva's house? And I looked at him, and he's like, yes. But you could tell that was a moment of sharing outside the comfort zone. So what happened there? Why do we always feel good after we do something like that? It's because the vessel is expanded. Now imagine he said, no, I'm not going. I'm going to sit here and just eat my food. You go. Would he love him? Would he feel great? Would he feel the light? Would he feel magic? No.
No, because also what ensues after you say no is, she always asks me to do things like that. And why am I the only one that ever has to do everything around? And with the refusal to expand the vessel comes a bombardment of things to fill the vessel with negativity.
Oh, okay, so I want to comment on that, because now you did not listen to your wife. You did not get up from the bench.
Wife, quote uncaute, right?
Yeah,
it could be the creator. It could be your
Metaphoric
boss.
wife.
It could be your
Yes.
neighbor. In this case, it's the
So
wife.
you sat there and you kept eating your cauliflower mash or whatever it was. And you're enjoying yourself. But the thing is, because you've shrunk your vessel and you're taking this energy in reactively, the vessel can't even hold the light of the cauliflower mash. And that's why you don't even enjoy the cauliflower mash.
Or it gives you a stomachache.
But let's assume that you don't even enjoy it. And because you don't enjoy it, you want more energy. So you start complaining about your wife at the table because she went to go get it, right? She's like, I can't believe she always asks me to do that. She never thinks ahead. She never plans ahead. And so why do we say those words? Because that's another form of instant gratification. It's like the bug bite. You scratch it, and then you want to scratch more, and you want to scratch more, and you want to scratch more, and then there's blood. And that's death. That's the death right there.
David's bodily metaphors.
That's how it is, right? When you're shrinking the vessel, you scratch, then death. So what does death do? Death actually expands the vessel. It's a very powerful thing what death does. Death cleanses and it opens up and it starts anew. Right? When a person dies, they come back, new life. It's expansion. It's cleansing. Death also does that to other people. It puts the people who were left behind through pain and just hopefully opens them up. That's what the point of the pain is, to open them up to the next level of life. But unless people get lost in that pain. So it's always about seizing the opportunity to go outside the comfort zone. And that would be another way to expand the vessel. And some other things I have other things, but I know you have something on the tip of your tongue.
I do. I'm not even sure how to bring it in, because I feel like our listeners are probably gasping for air already as it is. But if you have any situations in your life right now where you feel you're overwhelmed, moments of overwhelm, of pressure, of I can't handle it. Every time you have the thought that you can't handle it, that is that's leveling up. The moment you hear I can't handle it running through your head, your soul is telling you here's a moment you can level up. You want to expand your vessel big time, you can't handle it. And know that if you didn't hear the voice of I can't handle it, you couldn't recognize that it's an opportunity to level up, right? A lot of people say, well, when I get spiritual, when I reach my soul's potential, nothing's going to bother me, and I'm going to love everybody unconditionally, and I'm not even going to need food because the oxygen is going to be fulfilling enough to my body, etc. and so forth. No, the whole idea is that whatever we experience as darkness, as discomfort, as lack is there so that we can recognize the opportunity and reveal light there. So when you're sitting there at work and you still have stuff you got to do before you leave, and then on the way home you've got to do X, Y, and Z, and then when you get home you've got to do X, Y, and Z, and you just feel like, Calgon, take me away. The reality is the universe is telling you, level up. You're operating now at a 4. If you can embrace this and do it with grace and joy and loving it, because you know, even though it's stretching you, the result is going to be more blessings. You're going to get a phone call and they're going to say, you know, or you won't even get a phone call. You'll just get a check in the mail, or you'll get, you know, somebody will swoop in and say, I know you have a lot on your plate. Let me do that. There will be miracles. The key is really to let in, to know that whatever foundation I'm standing on now, it can be strengthened. The universe is telling me I can strengthen it. David gave really great ways to do it, whether it's through letting go, through giving, getting outside of my comfort zone. I think certainty is also a big one. In that moment that you feel you can't handle it, you need to know you can. You need to know that the Creator is sending you that to-do list and you can handle it. You know it. When you start to know it, you start to do it. There's all those stories about the Olympians who, once the record was broken, 3 other people broke the record. Once you know it's possible, you can do it. It actually, don't look to other people to tell you it's possible. You need to know it's possible, and then you'll be able to do it.
I love it.
Other questions to answer.
I have a couple more things to put here, and maybe we'll wrap it up. One is giving up too early shrinks the vessel. Giving up too early. So if you actually could see your life as a rerun, and you saw every time you gave up on something, it was probably like minutes before you were about to break through. So the most pressure, the most darkness, the most confusion comes right before the revelation. And the opponent is there pressuring you to let go, and because he knows that you're about to expand the vessel.
There's a famous story from the California Gold Rush about that, by the way.
Yes, please share.
I could pull up all the details if you want to keep talking, or I could just paraphrase. But basically, there's this story about this guy who, tons of money, went wagons west with all these people, hired all the right people, all the right machinery, and they were drilling or digging and digging and digging. And he was running out of money. You know, sort of think about, we grew up in California, so our schools taught us all about all these stories. I don't know if everybody knows, but it's like they pumped everything they had. They paid for the workers' housing and food, and it was like this camp, and everybody, right? And then when everybody panned gold, I don't know, dime, whatever. Forget about the details because I can't remember anymore. But basically, the guy ran out of money, found a worker who had enough money to at least buy the equipment from him so he wasn't at a total loss, and then he went back home. The guy literally drilled for 10 minutes and he hit the mother lode. So imagine his boss gave up 10 minutes of digging or whatever instrument they were using, and he would have hit, it's literally called the mother lode. But he decided that was it for him. So, you know, I think it's in like Napoleon Hill's book or somebody. It's in one of those famous Don't Give Up books. But but the idea, it really is, like David said, you would watch the movie. Imagine the guy finds out by telegram or whatever, pigeon back then, that the guy he sold everything to the next day hit the mother lode.
Right.
In the morning, even didn't even get a lunch break before he cashed in on everything that his boss had put everything into. So I know that's not necessarily a spiritual, but it's spiritual evidence or physical evidence of a spiritual truth.
That's right, and practically what that means for everybody is don't make decisions when you're going through confusion, doubt, and fear. Make decisions. If you're going to give up on something, give up when it's amazing and you have total clarity about it. That's actually when you should give up. Think about like the stock market. When it starts going down and people
panic
and they sell, right? They give up. you should actually give up at the all-time high. That's what the smart investors do. The smart investors, when it's high, they give up. They let go of their position. And when it's falling, they wait patiently. They don't react to it. So if you're going to give up on a high note, not on a low note. Low note means you still have spiritual work to do. There's something you need to overcome. There's something you need to pursue. Something you need to learn. So that was one. The other one, a couple I'll just throw off before we close, is blaming others for your unhappiness. That's an easy one. If you're pointing the finger at anybody, it's shrinking the vessel.
Including God.
Oh, for sure.
No, it's important to mention it because there's a lot of people that use the religion or the spirituality card to relieve themselves of responsibility. God doesn't want me to have it.
Or God doesn't even exist. It's all random.
Okay, but we're already talking to the spiritual crowd.
Okay.
God decided I don't deserve it. God decided I don't need it. God doesn't want me to have it. That is not true.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Okay, keep going.
Overthinking and overanalyzing, complicating things, all will shrink the vessel. So the thoughts, actually, when you're overthinking something, you are shrinking. And the last one I put is actually what we talked about, where everything I do is what I'm comfortable doing. You're not alive anymore. You connect to the energy of death. You're alive and you expand when you try new things, when you aim to fail, when you see what you're afraid of, and you venture in those areas. That's what I got. That's all I got for this show.
What can you say to our listeners who are doing everything you're doing? Or everything you're doing everything we spoke about. They're letting go. They're getting outside of their comfort zone. They're ingesting mass quantities of spiritual consciousness every week. They are pushing and pushing and pushing, and they're not manifesting. Okay. Because, having a big vessel is great. Having the vessel be filled, having the reality be filled, how long does it take?
I would say there's two things. One is, because we never know if we're missing something, we don't know what we don't know, I would take the time to ask people who you see are manifesting in their lives and just connect with them and run the list by them. If you have a list of all the great things you're doing, run the list by them. Allow someone on a higher level of manifestation than you to poke holes in your list. The second thing is just keep having certainty, because you have no other choice. There's no other place to go, place to hide. There's no other option. You have to move forward. But the first thing I said, which is, I know for me, if something's not working out, not making sense, I will keep asking people, what do you think? What do you think? Here's what I'm doing. What do you think? And it's amazing, because people see things from a different point of view that you just will never see. You can't do this work alone. You can't assume that you're doing your spiritual work and do it by yourself. It needs an audit from people around you, especially people who have already achieved what you're trying to achieve.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that the system is such that we can't do it alone? I'm serious. It's like
a very philosophical question.
No, but I'm saying
me.
It's like, you hear stories about all these people that they isolate, they go off into the wilderness and they achieve this tremendous spiritual revelation, understanding, epiphany. Why is having that audit? I'm challenging you because I think that it's important, but I know it's important.
Well, because we know that the Creator has instilled in other people the mirror effect. So we can learn most about ourselves when we surround ourselves with other people, whether that's be in a relationship with them, ask them for mentorship, ask them to be a guide and a channel for us. And also, someone else may have a channel open in the very area that you're blocked. So use their channel to decipher what you need to do. I mean, that's pretty much why people come to any coach, or they take a class, or they listen to a podcast, because the assumption is, hey, you've opened up this gate that I'm blocked with, so I'm coming to you. Oh, you made all this money in crypto, or you did something. I didn't. I'm poor. I still haven't done it yet. I therefore must talk to you, because your gate's open. So that's essentially why people should go to other people all the time. We need to learn from everybody.
Okay. With that, I'm not sure there's a whole lot. I'm not sure there's a whole lot I could add without adding another 50 minutes to the episode. So I guess we will break here. One thing I do want to point out that on the Kabbalistic calendar, we have, as always, we try to bring this into every episode that we do. But this week we have the new moon on the Kabbalistic calendar. And I'm aware that the Kabbalistic calendar and the Gregorian calendars don't align. So I think this week we're starting the month of Aquarius on the Gregorian calendar, but on the Kabbalistic calendar, we are starting the month of Pisces. So that's very exciting. Monday, today is the 31st. So the new moon is Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Tuesday and Wednesday. So actually that works out really cool. February 1st and 2nd are actually the new moon of Pisces. And so, as always, we recommend to our listeners to use those 2 days to practice being the best version of you. That is because the new moon, according to Kabbalah, is the seed of the month. So our thoughts, words, and actions in that period of time impact the coming 30 days that follow. So the more light you can reveal in those 2 days, the more light you can reveal throughout the month. The month of Pisces is a really positive month, and we'll share more about that with you in the coming weeks as well. But one of the things that you can look forward to, interestingly enough, on this topic is enhanced, I want to say clairvoyance, but at least intuition. It's going to be, your gut is going to be demanding more of your attention this month, and you want to follow that. Just be careful not to be too sensitive, not to take things too personally, and block that channel of inspiration. As always, we want to invite you to like, rate, review, and share. We are who we are because of our audience, and you're helping us grow every week. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Weekly Energy Boost. You can go to weeklyenergyboost.com to see previous episodes, transcripts, see what kinds of offers we have for our audience, and find more content there. You can also reach out to us and let us know topics, questions, and information that you need. Have a fabulous week, and we'll see you next time on the Weekly Energy Boost.